It looks like he has somebody in his turret.
Whoa. Extra sized tubes. Whatever the hell's on that thing.
Peeled the fighter off you guys, but he'll be coming back on. I don't know how much damage it done him because it wasn't showing me anything.
Oh, there goes the Super Hornet.
So yeah, how many ships are left? Not fucking many, man.
Yeah, that's fine. You guys are still doing good numbers. You can't get that.
600 eye is just sitting at range and shooting you guys.
An arrow, a gladius, and a 600. That's all that's left.
Oh, we're dead.
Whoa.
Oh, I'm
Whoa!
Yeah, we're dead.
We blew up. I'm falling to the floor.
What the hell was that?
The ground.
That'll be that 600 eye range.
Ooh. Yeah, there's two 600s.
Well, good for them.
I thought
Yeah,
the ship
it was
wasn't
nice,
showing any damage.
It wasn't.
So, yesterday's episode, I decided to scrub it at the last minute. I wasn't really happy with it, so I decided to come back today, take another shot at it, and kind of tackle it from a different angle. And it once again has to do with the Hammerhead. Flying the Hammerhead, working as a team, all of that stuff. And one of the things that I noticed, and it's something that kind of goes back to the last time we talked about this, which is I feel that the stock weapons that it comes with, the stock guns, the range just really is not all that good. It really isn't. And I'm leaning more towards longer ranged weapons the more we play around with it. Some of it can be put down to just getting more and more practice in turrets, but I feel that it really doesn't have the reach to adequately defend itself against multiple targets. Like, there's just too many ships out there that can just hang out beyond its range and just pummel it from range. That was one of the big problems that I've seen with the ship. Another one, which I think is more down to, players getting used to the ship and getting used to how to handle it. I think it is a ship that needs to be kept in motion during combat, like heavy duty forward motion. Really even leaning on the afterburners a little bit to the point that people trying to circle it or move around it are forced to adapt that strategy, or it becomes a lot more difficult to them because they have to account for the forward movement of the ship. I think that is probably a very important thing to keep in mind when you're trying to defend the ship against multiple attackers, is you have to kind of keep it moving. You really have to lean on it and try to keep it moving. I think that, I've been looking at some of the videos having to do with the upcoming flight changes, and obviously these are going to have a much more profound effect on lighter ships than they're going to have on bigger ships. And, I was looking at the decoupling change specifically that they were talking about in ATV, and I thought, oh, well, that's just perfect. That's easy. Just like someone standing in front of your guns like that. But I think that, in that environment, it's going to be that much more difficult to circle strafe. So I think that forward motion, that forward momentum is something that's really going to help you out. I feel that it's probably going to be the best strat to kind of keep this thing alive, especially when you're having to deal with multiple fighters. That combined with much more reach, I think, is going to be very strong in the ship. But then, we are in a difficult spot to really test things because all the mods for these ships cost ridiculous amounts of money considering the state the game is in right now. I mean, in terms of earning money in the game, which really you don't get to keep at this point because we're in early access, so none of this really counts. The fact that, we're in that position right now and we have to spend so much to purchase these mods, which then again can be erased so quickly, it really doesn't make sense. And I really hope that somebody from CIG just kind of sits down and, goes, you know what? This is just stupid that we are, that we are kind of putting people in this kind of a testing environment where we're trying to pretend like it's a game when it's not a fully functional game. And we're treating the economy like it's that. But at the same time, we want people to test things out. We want people to try out different configurations, but none of that really seems to, none of the game systems are really conducive to a wide array of testing because we make it so difficult to gain access to the components in order to test them effectively, right? Now, of course, this is balanced off by the PTU to a certain extent. And it's true what people say. You go over to the PTU, the test universe of the test universe, you get more money. Generally, that has been my experience. I've never been all that heavy into the PTU, but generally, you also get a lot more bugs. You get access to things that are coming up soon. But you have to deal with a lot more bugs and a lot more instabilities. And there, more than a few of us out there who have said, I participated in the PTU. I remember when 3.0 first came out, I got sort of not, Evocati access, but I think I got first or second flight access to the PTU for 3.0. And I started making videos about that. And one of the other members of Scum as well got access to that. And we were, at the same time, we were amazed by how well, how much had improved, how much new cool shit there was. But also, I mean, how badly it played out. It didn't really work all that well. And so we weren't really, it didn't really create a really great first impression with us playing on the PTU in terms of functionality. And that was something that sadly kind of carried through, and it's still to this day, I get on the PTU, but I generally find that it is not really a great environment to be testing things on because things break so often. I mean, we are literally at such an early stage that it's often difficult to really gauge what's going on with the systems because there are so many bugs. And I feel that, I mean, having the PTU is obviously important for a reason to get a stable build out there, but I think testing in a stable build is equally as important. I think that, I realize that there's a certain, probably a drive to maintain the idea that this is a live game, but it isn't a live game, right? And I think we need a much more stable environment to kind of test out these more in-depth ideas and go, look at this stuff and say, hey, you know what? There are some actual real issues with some of this stuff in terms of balance, or this isn't working out the way it should, or this isn't working out the way we thought it should. What do you think about this? And it's like, we don't really get that kind of access with the PTU because at any moment you're disconnected, you lose, or you're not even really sure if what you're testing is the way it's supposed to be or if it's just the result of one of a myriad of bugs, whereas with a much more stable build, you can test more often. I really think that at this stage in the game's development, we need broader access to ship modules and equipment in a stable environment so that we can test things out properly. We're at that place where so many of the big ideas that we talked about for years, what if this is like this, can you crew a ship with all NPCs, all that stuff. We're getting to the point now where we're going to actually begin to test these things. And I think that perhaps, I don't know, in my opinion, I think that there needs to be a shift in approach to the PU. And I don't think that we really necessarily have to maintain this idea that it's a live game and instead use it as a stable testing platform for a lot of these ships and a lot of this equipment to see what works and what doesn't work, because this is the environment that is probably most conducive to functional playtesting versus the PTU, which really has never been all that stable in the first place. So I don't really think that it's all that great of a test environment to begin with. So that is more or less my point of view on that right now. You know, unmodified, uninfluenced right now. But I kind of wanted to end this video on a bit of an up note, and shift gears just a little bit. You know, recently I've been watching a lot of videos having to do with other games, of course, and one of the videos was directed at Blizzard, and it's, you know, it kind of implored the developers to look at the content they're developing and say, you know, think about it. Would you play this content if there was no reward? And the guy who was making the video, he used a specific example. He said, you know, every year I play through the BioShock series just for, for fun, for personal interest. I'm not getting any reward out of it. I'm not finding anything new. I'm just doing it just because I enjoy the game. Ask yourself, when you're developing this content, is it like this, you know? And the truth is that even in the Star Citizen system right now of playing with no rewards, I mean, I can't speak for other people, but I feel that, you know, I really get in here and I enjoy it more and more and more than I used to. And I enjoy playing the game just to play it, even knowing that there really are no rewards in it right now, that it's just all for fun. And you know, I really enjoy it. I liken it to earlier experiences in other games. You know, when you're kind of getting into this new world and you're first exploring, and everything around every corner, every new piece that comes in, you can't wait to go and check it out. Oh, what's Lorville all about? And even if Lorville has a disappointment, like there's no actual gun shop on Lorville, you're kind of that's kind of dumb. But at the same time, it's really cool to check things out. And you're like, oh man, I can't wait till they flesh all this out. And then there's, you know, they can put a mission giver here and a mission giver there and all this cool stuff. I really enjoy playing Star Citizen more and more and more. And I think it speaks very well for the game that this is happening in a world where there are no rewards, no real tangible rewards that are permanent to your character. I really enjoy it. I have a lot of fun playing through this. And in general, you know, there's a few things that I disagree with. That's no secret. But I think in general, we're headed in a much better direction than a lot of games out there. Because, you know, this is, you know, a game that's being designed by actual gamers and people who love the game, and not by a boardroom trying to find out, you know, okay, what do the metrics tell us and where can we squeeze in the microtransactions? I think, in all honesty, I think we are really headed in the right direction. Anyways, just going to leave you guys with that. Hope you enjoyed the show, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.